Greg. It'll, first of all, like I say, I want to say thank you. I appreciate for those of you that technology is still on a learning curve. Greatly appreciate you taking the challenge to join us, to be a part of this group. It's great to see all the faces. It's great to know that God's still working, and we need sometimes to remind each other of that, of just how involved he has been over the past year, year and a half. I will do my best to keep this meeting moving like it should. I do ask that unless you are speaking or getting ready to speak, please mute your computers so that if inadvertently there's background noises, it doesn't disturb the meeting. I know for some of us, if you're anticipating speaking, you need a minute or two to unmute. We run into this on my video conference meetings all the time. We're waiting for people to unmute. So again, welcome. Let's open this day with prayer. Lord, thank you. Thank you that you have given us this technology, for we must admit that this is all a gift from you. Man's simple mind would not have been able to comprehend this without your involvement. Bless every person that is here. Let this be a time of enrichment, and that they gain knowledge that they find useful in their personal ministry and in their corporate ministry. As we deal with the business at hand today, Lord, let us be ever mindful that it's your work we're doing, not our own. These things we ask in Jesus' name, amen. Robin, who's taking care of our minutes?
Everyone should have received a copy of the minutes in the email as part of that long PDF. Nola would normally do that.
No,
I don't see Nola here. So has everybody had a chance to look those over? This would be from our meeting a year ago, April. And now they're also in the chat if you need them there. You can take a look at those real quick. I don't know that there's anything that is in question. So if you have a minute to look at those, then we just need a motion to receive the minutes or approve the minutes. There's a motion in the chat from Dale.
All right, we have a motion from Dale to approve the minutes as printed. Do I have a second?
Clinton raised his hand.
Second from Nathan
Nathan?
King, Tracy Gilmer, and Clint Walker. So we have about a fourth now.
We're in good shape. Any further discussion on the minutes? Okay. I think with this larger group, unless someone wants to vote no in the chat room, I will assume that everyone else approves the minutes as written. That meet with everyone's approval?
Okay.
Looks good. Minutes approved. Okay, Bob Fairchild, you're up next. Where did we lose Bob?
Had to unmute. Sorry about
There, no problem. Understand.
that. As the packet that you got, it has two pieces of information in there. One is the there's four things. There is the camp budget and the region budget for 2021, and there is the 2020 final report I don't know if it's been audited, but it's the final report on the region and the camp. And of the things that are, well, and there's also a page in there which shows the investment reports as of June 30th. And the investment balances haven't changed a whole lot in the last 3 months. So we'll have to go at that. If you look at the region budget, the region actual versus budget, we were proposing a $500 surplus, and we ended up with almost $12,000 surplus. The income was down some, but the expenses were down some too. So the net result was that we ended up about $12,000 to the good. And the camp had budgeted about $150 balance and ended up about $1,200 to the good. And again, income wasn't quite what we thought it would be, but then the expenses weren't either. So all in all, 2020 was a good year. And as far as I know, 2021, we're doing okay too. Any questions? A lot of numbers.
Yeah, Dale did point out we had a typo in the budget for camp for 2021. I mean, this, again, just remember this meeting is actually the meeting that we should have had last April. So that's why we're giving you 2020 stuff and not 2021 stuff. Budget for both region and the camp this year so far, we're doing really, really well. I mean, we don't have an overabundance by any means, but because our churches are struggling as well, but certainly God's providing, and that's something we're thankful for. One of those, we did get a second PPP loan early 2021, and that's been forgiven already. So that's been taken care of, and that certainly has helped us both in 2020 and 2021. Also, our camp numbers, and you'll hear more about that a little later in the meeting, but camp numbers much better this year in terms of campers, and financially, again, we're pretty much on track for where we need to be for this time of the year.
Any questions for the treasurer?
Yeah, of the two glitches I show, one is just probably a typo, but the one does show a difference of 1,000 on your proposed 2021 budget for ABC Nebraska. When I do the math, I came up with $1,000 different, not 283,900, but 284,900 in the total expenses for your 2021 budget.
Okay.
On the camp one, I think it's just in line number 7,200 occupancy. Everything that's in there doesn't quite add up, but the bottom line comes out right. So there's probably a typo in there.
Well, these would have been taken from a spreadsheet, so.
Yeah. Yep. Just obsession with the numbers, that underline those for care and attention. Thanks.
Mhm. We'll go back and check. Any other questions on the treasurer's reports or the budget? I think that does it.
Hang on just a second here. We've got one participant that Bob and Sue need to click on the link that is in the chat room that Greg posted up there a couple of minutes ago.
We did that and we're currently printing it. Bob must not have our correct email address, so I'll get that to you, Bob.
Okay, understood. Okay, do I have a motion then to approve the financial reports as corrected? Okay, Mike's moved. Do I have a second? Greg moved. Thank you. And Clint, I love it. You guys are just on the spot. Any further discussions? Any more questions for Bob? Anything that you need clarified? Okay, if not, I'm going to do the vote the same way. I'm going to assume everyone's approving the reports unless you vote no in the chat room. Okay, the financial reports are approved. All right, Brad, AB Min. I thought I did earlier.
Brad's not here today. I believe he asked somebody else to do those reports for us. Is somebody here who can do that? Let me look through the gallery here.
Yeah, I suppose I can,
Yeah,
fill in for
there we
Brad.
go.
He's trying to play golf this morning.
Yeah.
So, things have been, as far as American Baptist Men, we had, money left over from the previous, fundraiser for the, shredder and the two other things that we were going to buy there, and so we put out a call. The tires on the F-250 were just basically all season tires, and they're not set for running through the mud and the hills. So with the money that was left over from that, and then money from Second Baptist Men, we have purchased 4 BF Goodrich Wranglers for $1,200. And we'll be working a campaign to finish out the funding of the garage doors. The problem that we have with the garage doors is that all the doors are in, but the springs aren't. So the company has to wait for the springs to come in so they can get those in. So that's what's been going on with AB Men.
Hey, thank you, Craig. Any questions for Craig regarding AB Men? Thank you for filling in for Brad. So far, no rain on his golf game, so well. Next is the ABW Ministries. The women had their annual conference in June 4th through the 6th at Moses Merrill. Dr. LaChaka Askew, our national executive coordinator for the Midwestern section, was our guest speaker. We worked on completing 22 sewing kits for the Bethel Neighborhood Center, and are working on getting more funds raised and completing more kits there. Upcoming October 22nd through the 24th. If your church hasn't put up a poster regarding it, send me an email and I will send you an electronic copy. We have a wonderful retreat planned. The women of Beatrice have been hard at work. Our guest speaker is LaRose Carr. She was the ABWM president for the state of Colorado until this week. She accepted a position on the national committee. So I'm very excited for her and that ministry. She is a great Bible study leader. And so I am encouraging the women, especially those of you that have filled out the surveys for the last 2 years asking for more Bible study. Here's your chance. Like I say, if you haven't seen the information, get in touch with me or Bev, and we will make sure you have that. I will try to be sending out an actual schedule to those that are registered here sometime in the next week. Any other items I forgot about ABWM? That was easy. Okay, Robin, you're
Lavana,
up. Yes.
Lavana, did you want to mention that we're in the process of updating our bylaws and constitution to bring them kind of into the 21st century?
Yeah, we do have a committee form that is working on that, and as Susan says, trying to get them updated since it hadn't happened for several decades.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
So we are working on that. Robin, Executive Minister's Report.
Sure, thank you. Again, I just echo what Lavana shared. We're happy that you're here and appreciate your willingness to use this format, given what's going on in our world right now. Let you know a little bit more about what's been going on here. 2021 has been certainly more normal than 2020 was, which is a good thing. Greg and I certainly have been out and about, and our pastors also out and about and doing the work that has needed to be done. We did do something a little bit different earlier in the year for our Prairie Pastors Conference. We did something we called Catalyst, and actually wrote a grant to encourage churches, pastors to make connections with maybe other pastors or churches that they normally wouldn't necessarily connect with. We invited 2 pastors from Colorado, an African-American pastor and a female pastor from one of our churches in Denver. And they shared how they built a relationship and connected, and then how they were able to help that move into some work in the community. And so that was a powerful presentation that they shared with us. And then we also, like I said, from that, asked pastors to make those kinds of connections if possible in their communities. And we offered some grant funds to help fund that. We still have some of those funds available. So if your pastor and or your church would like to do that, they're welcome to apply. We've done a lot of work this summer, especially with our Hill Tribe churches. We continue to work with them, getting them to make sure that they have all the paperwork filed to be 501c3s, and then also have tax exemption through the state of Nebraska, and also registered with the Secretary of State. And that's always a fun process, but they hang in there and do that. We also have been working with them in terms of trying to encourage our government to send more humanitarian aid to Burma during the crisis that's happening there right now. And a couple weeks ago, we sent out letters to all of our Hill Tribe churches, asking them to copy those letters and have their people sign those letters. And we're working on a date to take a group of pastors to our various senators and representatives to encourage them to support a bill that is before or will be presented to the Senate in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, to increase aid and also impose some sanctions on the military government of Myanmar that has overthrown their civil democracy. So we've been working on that a lot. Also, we have a church, most of you know, one of our churches is a Kachin church in Dallas. And so I went there this summer and preached there on Sunday morning, also participated in a deacon ordination and a graduation. They have a Bible school there that's connected to Central Seminary, and they had 68 graduates. And so I was able to participate in that as well. So that was a great experience and a lot of fun working with those people. During the summer, Greg and I and Bev have all, and Greg and Bev are just finishing up, but we've completed a certificate in religious fundraising through Lake Institute, University of Indiana. And so we're working on some things that we can do not only to encourage gifts and thank our donors better for especially things given to the camp and people working with camp, but also for the region. And actually Greg's working on a workshop that we could take to our churches that would give them some ideas, creative ideas to further that as well. We've celebrated this summer with First Baptist Church North Platte, their anniversary, and also Parkside. Yeah, so that's been fun. Currently, I look at Greg and I's schedule. We're both preaching somewhere every Sunday through the month of October, and we've been pretty active actually all summer through the fall, being in our churches, which is also really good for us. I participated in some national meetings, one in Green Lake earlier this year, preparing to go to one in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho in November to connect with some of our more conservative execs. And so that work is continuing. We are still working, obviously, with churches that are searching for pastors. Right now, we only have one church open that is searching for a full-time pastor, and that's the Valley Church. And so we're actively working with that search committee. We're also working with a couple other churches that are going through the process of either doing something different or closing, depending on what goes. COVID certainly has been difficult for some of our smaller churches that are already just kind of hanging on the edge. And so we're working and praying and trying to walk with them, discerning what God might have them do and what they might do to continue to reach out and do the work that they've been called to through Christ. We do have another pastors conference coming up in 2 weeks at Moses Merrill. And we have Dick and Jan Sipe from Kansas coming. If you don't know Dick, he has been a longtime ABC pastor in Iowa. Very well known, very, I'd hate to use this word, but successful, not in a worldly sense, but certainly successful as a pastor. Since he retired about 6 or 8 years ago, he's been working as a transitional church pastor. So it's an interim with a twist. Basically, he's been able to go into churches, especially churches in decline, and help them turn things around, again, through the leading of the Holy Spirit and the work of Christ in the midst of that community. And so he's going to be coming and sharing just some of his experiences. He doesn't, it's not a, 10-step, let's fix all the problems of the churches kind of thing, but rather him sharing just his experience of how he works with these churches. And we're excited for him and his wife Jan to come and share that with our pastors in Nebraska. So that's happening coming up fairly quickly. Let's see, what did I forget? Probably something, but all in all, again, God is faithful and working, and we're excited about some of the things our churches are doing to share the gospel story with their communities. And we continue to walk alongside and help where we can help, and pray and encourage our pastors as they lead our churches. So I think that's it. Questions, comments?
Oh, you guys are letting him off way too easy. Okay, nothing further. Other business that you're aware of, Robin?
We do have a listing of the nominating committee for this next year. Again, it's a little strange because, like I said, this meeting should have happened. Oh, okay. I thought I was muted there for a minute. This meeting should have happened last April. One of the things the leadership team has done is we're looking at for 2022, mixing things up a little bit and doing our business meeting, probably a combination of in-person and Zoom in January sometime. that fits better with our fiscal year and just taking care of things like budgets and officers and those kinds of things. And then planning an Expo Chautauqua kind of meeting at camp this first year in this fall, where we would bring in a speaker and maybe even combine a day or two of pastors conference and then like a Friday night, Saturday event for everyone to attend. So that's kind of what we're looking at for next year. So like I said, the leadership team, basically our nominating committee, we can go ahead and vote on this. Like I said, we'll present another one in January just because of the way the year has kind of worked out this year. And Greg can put that in the chat if you don't have it. It's part of that PDF that was sent out.
Thank you, Greg. No, that's Greg.
Thank you, Robin.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the proposed slate of leadership for, we're going to call this 21, I guess, Robin?
Well, it's 21, 22, but
Then in January, we'll vote on 22.
well, in January, yeah, we'll vote on 22, 23.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, Dale made the motion to accept. Do I have a second? Okay, Clint seconded. All right, we'll do the same. I will assume you're voting in favor unless you vote no in the chat room. I'll give you a minute. Okay. Leadership team for our 21-22 has been accepted. Is there other business to come before this group? Okay. Thank you so much, Robin. And Greg, you keep us going. And I hope you express our appreciation to Sue also. We all know that the office wouldn't keep going if we didn't have her keeping us all on the straight and narrow. So at this time, you've got down closing of the business session.